Hi, there's Supriyo. So I put out a poll yesterday, and over 7,500 of you have voted on this. So I asked you, what do you think is the main reason that you don't have a job? And I'm actually quite surprised that most people, the majority of people, they said that it's due to their own fault. Now, I am really happy that people are saying this, of course, because that was the main message that I wanted to put out. That all the other factors that you can see in this poll, all the other factors, they are external factors. But the last one, which actually deals with your own fault, that is the only one that you can control. Now, understand this, that you can focus on the external things, and to be very honest with you, it's not your fault alone that you don't have a job. It is actually the fault of many of the environmental factors, many of the external factors. But the thing is that you cannot really control those external factors, can you? So you have to focus on the only things that you can control. And what's the only thing you can control? Your own effort, isn't it? So how much effort you are putting in and what you are doing daily to improve, those are the things that you can improve. And now, when you are saying that it's my own fault, understand this. I am not saying that you need to pity yourself. So this is not a pity party, okay? So don't say that, oh no, I cannot really crack these exams. I don't have what it takes. What am I going to do? And I don't really deserve these things. No, that is not what you have to think about. Think that you can always improve. You need to have a growth mindset that you can always learn these things and you can improve and you can get the job. So that is what I want to put out. So that is my main message that I want you to understand. And in this video, I'm going to give you 5 tips that are quite important to remember if you want to crack a bank job this year. So let's begin the video and let's talk about the 5 tips. Okay, so let us talk about these 5 tips. So, what are these most important 5 tips that can help you to secure a bank job in 2021? So, let's take a look in detail. And I will definitely be making a video on the SBI PO strategy. So, a lot of you asked about it, and I'll try to make a detailed strategy so that you can follow that plan and you can have a roadmap by which you can crack this examination. But anyhow, this one, it's just for generic all the bank exams. So the first thing that you have to remember is that the game, it is all about the mains. So the mains examination, that's the most important thing. Now people tell me all the time, they would be saying that I am qualifying the prelims examination, that's so easy to do, but then I am getting stuck on mains. Now you can't say things like that, because prelims, it is just a qualifying in nature and it's not a very difficult thing. So the first thing that you have to understand is that you don't get proud by just clearing the prelims examination, because that is just the first step. So your main preparation, that has to be directed towards the mains examination. Now you have to actually shift your gears. Now most people, they are not shifting their gears, they are doing the same thing that they have been doing for the prelims preparation. And one thing you will notice, that prelims, for the material on the internet and in various sites for preparation, all the material, it is actually focused on the prelims examination. Now why is this? This is because most of the free content that they are giving, they are only actually doing it as a marketing thing, and so they want you to use their paid content, and they just get you addicted using the prelims one, and then you have to pay for the mains one. So I would suggest that if you are doing mains centric preparation, then get some paid material, because the free material out there, it's not that good. And you can of course use the books that I have told you. So I have already made a video on the books that you need for the examination. So if you want, you can refer to those advanced books as well for the mains preparation. Otherwise, go for some paid mock tests and other types of paid content that's going to actually help you out. Now understand that the mock tests are the most important thing that you have to actually just solve the questions from. And when I talk about the shifting gears thing, so what happens is, in your prelims examination, whenever you are preparing, you might be sitting for maybe 1 hour sessions or 1.5 hour sessions or something like that. But for your mains, whenever you are preparing for the mains examination, you should at least sit for 3 hours. Now this is actually something that's going to be very, very useful to you. And sometimes people tell me that it's difficult to actually sit for that high number of hours. So what I tell them is that you have to somehow create this kind of an external thing that drives you. So you can't, of course, see the clock and then sit down and then remember that, right? So what you have to do whenever you are sitting, and I assume that you are sitting to prepare mostly on your laptops, or you have a like a notebook open in front of you, something like that. So in your laptop, go to google.com and then write down timer. Okay, write down timer, and then you'll see that the Google timer is going to come out. So there, give yourself a time limit of whatever you want, so 3 hours or 2 hours or whatever it is. Just set the clock and then click on start. So that clock, it keeps running, and by that you have this external benchmark by which you are actually very ready to keep on preparing. And because that clock is running, so there's some kind of a I can't really explain it, there's some kind of an incentive that you keep on studying until and unless that clock runs out. This is a very nifty trick, and this is actually only going to work when you put your mobiles away. Now we are going to talk about that, but anyhow, use this timer trick, because once you do that, once you start using that trick and you see that time is actually ticking away, then that actually gives you some kind of a simulation. It actually helps you to understand what's going to happen in the final examination as well, because in the final examination you're going to have a timer and it's going to run out, and that's the thing. So again, we come back to our simulation. So simulation, I have talked about simulation many times, and what you are going to do basically, so like this here, the Google timer, it is actually simulating your 3 hours, right? So simulation means that every single thing about your examination you have to simulate. So if you know that your mains exam, it's going to be in the afternoon, so all the mains mock tests you have to give in the afternoon. Then you have to simulate as much as possible the exam conditions that you are going to see. So the exam conditions, understand what I am trying to say here. All the exam conditions you have to simulate. So you have to sit on a chair, you have to actually try and have a keyboard in front of you. If you are in a laptop, then buy the keyboard that I've already told you, so you can just get that. And then every single thing you have to have like your proper examination, and even the rough sheet. So sometimes we might be giving the examination and we are doing it on our notebooks. Don't use a notebook, but use some sheets of paper. So if you use those sheets of paper, it's like you're simulating the exact exam environment. And even those things you have to simulate the exact length of the examination. So if you have finished up a section before time, then don't go and skip to the next section, because see, if you do that, you are teaching your brain that it's okay to skip. But in the main examination, can you skip a section? No, you cannot. So mostly these days you have the sectional locking, right? So sectional timing will be there for each and every single section, and once you have that sectional timing, you are locked to that section. So for example, if you have say 25 minutes for your GA section, then you cannot skip to the next section, right? So you have to sit there for 25 minutes and you have to solve your questions, because I have seen that most of the mock test interfaces, they allow you to skip the section, but you should not use that feature. Do not use that feature and try to simulate the exact exam environment. And finally, what not to do. Now this is the most critical thing that you have to understand, and here the aspect of choosing questions comes into play. Now this is something that I have been talking about for a long time, but I don't think that people really understand what I mean over here about the choosing of the questions and what not to do. So essentially the entire mains paper, it boils down to which questions you do not attempt. Understand this. So you have to know which questions I have to skip. That is the most important skill. So the most important skill in the mains examination, it is the skipping skill. So you have to skip questions. You have to skip the hard questions. You do not allow your ego to come into play. Do not allow this. Don't get into this ego game that I have picked this question, I have already solved so many types of questions, so I have to solve this. No, that is not correct. You have to judge the question on its own merit and be humble. If you cannot solve it, don't take it upon your ego that no, I have to plow through this question. No, that is not how it is going to happen. So skipping is so important. You have to choose the right questions. So whenever in your practice sessions, say you're doing 5 DIs, okay,
you have been given 5 DIs in your practice session, you are solving it, it is just for practice. So in those 5 DIs, first you have to actually see those 5 DIs and then decide which are the DIs that I will be doing first in the examination hall. And once you have chosen them, then you are just going to go ahead and solve them, and then you have to just ask yourself, was my choosing correct? Did I accurately predict my performance? So you have to be great at predicting. So you have to predict which are the questions that I have to do, which are the questions that I have to leave. And believe me, if you are good at not doing some questions, you are going to see a lot of success in these examinations. It's very, very critical to this. And now coming to the tip number 2. So being effective versus being efficient. People tell me all the time, I am studying for 8 hours, I am studying for 10 hours, I am studying for 12 hours, and they are still not able to crack this examination. Believe me, no one cares, okay? No one cares how long you have studied. No one cares how much you have put the effort. It's actually irrelevant how much effort you have put in. It is all about results. You are telling me about your efficiency. So some people, they will be saying that, I have finished this book in maybe, 5 hours or something, or maybe in 2 days, I finished this big book. They will be telling me this. But how effective was this? Were you effectively studying? Did you effectively absorb all the content that was presented to you? So being efficient is not enough. Of course you have to be efficient. Of course you have to cover a lot of the things, but you have to be effective as well. So each and every single thing that you are doing, you have to be very aware where you are going wrong. And this is again something that people don't understand. They are always focusing on the hours. So you are focusing on the hours, but instead you should be focusing on the outcomes. Now, what do I mean by this? So basically, this is all to do with your study session awareness. So what awareness means is that if you study, say for 3 hours, you are studying, okay? So you have finished maybe 10 DIs, okay? And maybe you have done, 10 reasoning questions, for example. So once you have done this in say 2-3 hours or whatever it is, so once you have done this, you have to ask yourself, what did I learn? Did I actually improve today by doing these questions? Have I learned something new? Or was it the same thing that I was doing and I was just using the same skills, same tools that I already know? So you have to be aware, was this study session something that actually yielded a lot of results to me? Did I improve after the study session? So be quite aware. Don't go through the motions. Some people, they are just going to go through the motions. They're going to solve the questions, then do the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. But they're not asking themselves, what did I learn? Did I learn something important in this study session? Did I actually improve? So that is something that you have to be aware of. And another problem that I see is that you are having too many distractions. So get rid of all your distractions. So stay away from the TV, stay away from the computer, stay away most importantly from your mobile phone. So keep your mobile phone in flight mode. That is the best thing, right? So whenever you are studying, keep it on flight mode. Do not worry. There is not going to be some kind of a huge calamity that's going to happen in your 2 hours or 3 hours that you are going to study. So keep it in flight mode and just focus on whatever it is you are doing. Don't take frequent breaks. This is so very important. People keep taking so many breaks and then in the final examination they stumble. So never take that extreme number of breaks. That's so vital in these examinations. And finally, I would like to tell you that this is also another aspect that some people say, okay, I am very well prepared. No, you should never have that attitude. Always have that thing in your mind that no, I am not totally prepared. There is still something that I can learn. Because once you say that I am totally prepared, then you stop learning. So don't make that mistake. Don't say that I have done every single thing and I have totally 100% prepared. You're never going to be 100% prepared. These are competitive examinations and they can always surprise you. So it's important that you stay humble. Now in the final day, so at the final day, you just have to be satisfied that I have done whatever I could do. Of course, I could perhaps maybe do a few more extra things, but that's not important. So in the final day, don't be in that kind of a super confident mode. You have to be confident, but not super confident as well. So it requires a delicate balance, and I'm sure that as you go along these preparation things, so you are going to have that. The next thing that you have to remember is that you have to focus enough on the general awareness preparation. Now I have talked about this a lot of times, and general awareness, it can actually save you whenever there is a very difficult paper and you can't really solve the the other sections. So GA section, never take it lightly. So you have to do daily GA preparation, and I have actually made a detailed video on this about how you can do it daily. So you can write down your daily GA, and it doesn't take that much, about 30 minutes to 1 hour per day, and always the first session of every day that should be dedicated towards your general awareness preparation, and that is enough. You don't have to prepare a lot, and every day if you are doing it, and then on the alternate days, or at least after 3 days, you are every 3 days you are actually trying to have some revision. So that also helps quite a lot. So check out my video on that if you want, and it is definitely something that is going to give you a direction, and you are going to understand from where you can actually prepare. And just also remember that you have to do your revision. So as I said, every 3 days at least you revise, and every week, at least every week, you have to do the entire revision. So the whatever you have read till that day, so you are revising the entire thing at one go. So that revision, sometimes it takes a long time, so you have to allocate maybe a couple of hours for your revision. So as you go along your preparation, sometimes it can take 3-4 hours, even 5-6 hours for revising the entire list of the things that you have read. And MCQs are also the key, so you can use the MCQs for your revision. You can do the MCQs again and again and again, and definitely I'll also keep helping you with those things on this channel. You already have seen so many different MCQs. Now the numbers and the details, these are the things that people forget quite a lot. So that is why I say that you have to write down your general awareness, and you have to concisely write it down, because most of the material on the internet, they don't really actually give you the numbers so well. Like, they will give you so much text and it's very difficult to revise. So you can just write down the important numbers and the important details from each general awareness news story that you are reading. And I am very hopeful that if you are doing then you are not going to stumble, because these days the question papers are being set with very different types of questions, and they are asking very in-depth questions, so you have to be prepared. Now the fourth thing that you have to remember, motivation versus systems. So I will always say that systems will always win, and you can do a lot of reading about how to create systems online. You can actually Google and you will find lots of articles, but the most important thing to remember is that what is the thing that lasts. Now one day I might see a very inspirational video or an inspirational movie, and my motivation, that will go very up, but the next day the motivation again goes down. So you have to have some systems in place. You have to have what I call rituals. So if you have rituals, you are never going to actually not do them. So when you wake up in the morning, you go and brush your teeth, wash your face, you drink water. So these are all rituals. So like that, if you can actually have rituals for your study sessions, for whatever you are studying, then you are not going to go wrong. And your EOD ritual, this is the end of day ritual. This is so very important. At the end of every single day, you have to ask yourself and be honest about what you got achieved that day, what you could not achieve, every single thing. Just have a mental list and talk to yourself, like even in the mirror. You can talk in English, and it can help you prepare your English as well, about what are the things that went wrong, what are the things that went right. So if you are doing this, it is very useful, believe me. And then another thing that you can do is the next day, what are you going to do? So write down 3-4 points that you are going to follow the next day, 3-4 things that you have to do the next day. You are doing this the previous night. So once after you sleep and you wake up, you have that plan. So you just open your notebook, and then you know, okay, these are the 4 things that I have to do today. So that is something that's going to help you, and you have to follow the routine. Okay, so have a routine in place, and whatever, the last night, whatever you have told yourself that these are the things that I am going to do today, so follow those things. Do not always go ahead and then in the morning you are waking up and you don't know what you are going to do. Don't be in that state. Don't be in a confused state. And this actually happens quite a lot to people. They have been complaining to me that they are going to watch some YouTube video and then they are going to be totally clueless that what am I going to do today. So don't have that kind of a thing. Also have sessions where you are watching the YouTube content. So don't watch the YouTube content whenever you feel like. That is not really something that an aspirant should do. You should have particular times in the day, maybe 2 to 3 hours in a day set out for your YouTube videos. If you are actually using them to clear concepts, then it's fine. You can do that. But YouTube is a very addictive thing. So once you click on YouTube and then you see so many notifications, and then your mind is like, okay, I have to watch this, otherwise it's going to be later on I'm going to regret. So don't don't be in that kind of a mentality. Always have a different time allocation for your YouTube videos as well, so that's going to help you. And the breaking down concept, this is so vital. So people, they would say, okay, I have to finish this book. No, that is not a good goal. You have to have goals like, I'll be finishing off this chapter, so maybe chapter 1 I'm going to finish off today. Or maybe you are going to have a goal of doing 30 sums. So if you have a goal of 30 sums, maybe you are having a goal of having 3 reading comprehensions, so 3 RCs I'm going to solve. So those are the broken down goals, those are not the big goals. So that is what you should be following, and if you follow these things, then it's going to make your life so much better. Now the 5th tip and the final tip is your exam debrief and also the analysis of your mock tests. Now these 2 things are very, very important. So the exam debrief, this is after you're back from each main examination, each big examination. So if you went to the exam center and then you gave some examination, whatever exam it is, you should come back home and then in that fresh mind you write down what went wrong. Okay, what was the thing that I could not do? Then how was I feeling? Was I feeling very good? What were my thoughts in the examination hall? Was I comfortable? Was I uncomfortable? Was it really something that was not right? Maybe the fans, the lights were not working, or some other environment that is not working. So if you write down all of these things and then you write down your attempts as well and what you feel and what was actually the thing that actually did not go well. So if you write down all of these things, then your mind is prepared for the next exam. And if you don't write it, then you forget. Understand what I'm saying? So the next examination, when you're going for that, you can read this debrief, and once you read it, you are going to be mentally prepared that okay, this had happened to me last time, so I'm not going to let it happen to me again. So that is why I ask you to write down. And then the creation of the error log. So this is what you are doing after the analysis of the mock test. I have an entire video dedicated to how you are going to create your error log. I hope that you have seen that video, and it's going to be very useful to actually analyze each and every single mock test that you do. So from each mock test, you have to know what are the questions that I did wrong and how I can actually solve them in a better way. And you have to write down your errors so that before the examination you can actually take a look. And multiple mock tests, this is very important. Some people, they will be relying on only one company. Please do not be one of those. At least a minimum of 2 companies you have to rely on. If you can do 3, then it is good, but it's 3 is maybe sometimes too much. So at least 2 companies, just rely on them, and you are going to get different types of questions, different styles of questions. So those are the things that are going to be useful to you when you are going for 2 different mock tests. And finally, the mock test autopilot or the autopilot of the examination. So what happens after you have done lots of mock tests, after you have done so many different things, you get into an autopilot. So what happens is you go into that examination center, okay, this question I am going to solve. Okay, I don't know how to do this, so let me skip this, then let me do the next one. So you know how you are going to actually attack that paper. So once you get into that state, believe me, it's actually very beautiful. So any question paper that you get, and then you get into that section, so you know exactly what I have to attempt, exactly what I have to leave out, and that is the final state. And I'm sure that if you are practicing well, if you have followed all these tips and you have done your honest hard work, then one day you are going to achieve that autopilot, that final flow state that is going to help you to crack every single examination. I hope that you learned something from this video and that it was beneficial to you. If you enjoyed it, please click on the like button and share it with your friends. If you want to see more of this kind of content, please click on the subscribe button and do not forget to click the bell icon so that you, my friend, do not miss any future update. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.